大家好啊！今日咧我就請咗我個 friend 咧係叫做 Lawrence Chu 啦，佢而家咧就喺上海做緊 Johnson Controls Hitachi 嘅。其實佢哋做 smart building 嘅 user experience design 咯。咁點解今日請佢咧？就係因為咧佢個背景咧其實係 industrial design 嘅喎。咁咧佢就做過 Umbra 啊、Bissell 啦、Bissell 係做呢個 vacuum cleaner 嘅。咁仲有呢個嘅 Nixplay 啦，係 IoT 嘅相架啦。咁佢就會講下佢點樣由 industrial design 咧，跟住而家就做到 user experience 啦。Okay, hi Lawrence. Thanks so much for taking the time to do this interview. Why don't you give the audience a little bit background about what you do now, and then maybe tell us about your history, like how did you came about?
Okay, sure. My name is Lawrence. At the moment, I work with Johnson's Controls Hitachi, and Johnson's Controls Hitachi is a joint venture between Johnson's Controls and Hitachi. And
you're in Shanghai, right?
Yeah, they have a joint venture. Actually, we're global. I'm in the Shanghai office, but the headquarters is in Tokyo, in Kadi in India, and in Shanghai. Mm-hmm. And I help them to manage industrial design, UI, UX, and entire consumer design experience.
Okay.
Yeah, nutshell. Yeah.
So, I met you when you were at Bissell, right? So how did you do a transition, or because you're in industrial design background, and then you're also now in user experience, right?
Yeah, it's funny. So when I was at Bissell, so for those that don't know Bissell is a floor care company. And I was with Bissell for a number of years designing things that suck, or things that help people clean.
Vacuum. Yes.
Yeah, vacuums, right. Yeah. I was with Bissell, and towards the end of that career path, everything was moving into the connected space. And I actually ran, aside from having some experience learning in PolyU, I also taught in Hong Kong Polytechnic University. And I was running a course, different disciplines. Some were more business oriented, like guerrilla business, where some of them were more around staging experiences, and this particularly this program was around community, and how could we stage a community experience. And I was working with Professor Jan Buring, and
explain a bit about what a staging experience is.
Staging experiences, meaning the experience economy. It started in the Hard Rock Cafe era, where it's not just a restaurant, it's the Hard Rock Cafe restaurant. And in the connected world, that becomes a lot easier, where you can put the connectivity in context with the business in a customizable way. And so some of the concepts that came out of that study was that, Bissell could create environments to facilitate the pet branding image, for instance, and was really big on pets, and so I was piloting.
Can I just clarify? Yeah. So is it the vacuum cleaners that are connected with some sort of apps, is that the customer experience?
That's one of the touch point. But to be community driven is more about what can your app do, and how do your device get connected so that the brand understands these personas.
Okay.
Yeah, and so yes, every product will be connected to an app, but the app could also be connected to a broader ecosystem. It could be connected to stores. It could be connected to chains of different businesses. So forming the B2C into B2B, and in between B2B to C to B, you know, so the connected space have that interesting window where the before business model is, okay, I'm connecting to the retail chain and the retail chain helps me sell the goods. But with connected goods, I could sell to different types of retail chain. It doesn't have to be big box anymore. It could be a vet that also sells pet supplies. And how would the user know that the vet is carrying this type of products?
Okay.
Space could allow and enable that. So that was the type of community idea that I was wrapped around, and I wanted to get Bissell involved, and that's how this whole digital career started.
So it's also connected to e-commerce, that means, right?
Right, and that was in the early beginning. I think people were just starting to pick up the momentum of selling in e-commerce, like selling through Amazon. I guess the ratio was drastically different for some of these big box driven brands, where, you know, it was very hard for them to all of a sudden become e-commerce focused. And so, of course, now it has leveled up, but still comparatively is very hard. So I then wanted to see what was the other side like. What would be someone that is completely driven by e-commerce? So I actually moved to Hong Kong and I joined this other organization called Nixplay.
Nixplay, right?
Yeah. So Nixplay is a digital photo frame that actually went IoT. So everyone knows digital photo frames that start with an SD card.
Yeah.
And the SD card era is gone because nobody is really using SLR anymore. All your pictures and memories lives on the phone. And so they had created a very offering of easily managing the digital content on your mobile phone to a picture frame. And this is kind of like a private channel. It's not like your social media. It's not like Instagram or Facebook where you post and everyone could see. This is more like what you want in your living room.
Yeah.
And so you could take a photo, you send, and it could show up in, you know, your father's house in, you know, another location, or your partner's house in another location, or your office. So you could have a multiple frame and have an ecosystem there.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they are 90% Amazon. Yeah, so
hopefully you don't send the wrong photos to your friends and family.
Well, so that's interesting because you want to be sure who you're connected with to your frame, and what kind of privileges do you allow those people to have in your living room frames or in your bedroom frame. And
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So what did you mentioned, like, you joined this company because you wanted to learn more about, is it e-commerce or the community?
Well, I joined this company because there were several things that they did very differently. They were 90% e-commerce.
Okay.
Completely IoT. With internet, this product is non-existent. It was very software driven. Although I was mainly around the industrial design touch point. But the user experience was heavily tied to the digital application.
Yeah.
And so then through that window and through that work environment, I was learning quite a bit around hardware, software, which some of the other companies, well, I would say many of the companies today don't understand IoT.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
And so now here at JCH, Johnson's Controls Hitachi, it is seeing the corporation leveling up to the IoT field. But I would say it is not easier for big companies to do IoT as well. It's just a very different way of doing IoT. And so continuously now that's been my IoT career.
Okay. Oh, can you say a little bit about Johnson Control? Like what kind of products do you guys produce?
Sure. So Johnson's Controls Hitachi, so maybe I explain two of them individually and then I put them together.
Sure.
So Johnson's Controls is a B2B focused company that outfits buildings for not only heating, cooling, ventilation, but also security and so cameras and water hydrant systems for emergencies. A host of products that they do that helps manage the entire building's system of air and so forth. And
is it from the developers? When the building is built, or from a consumer?
Yes. No, it's almost always B2B where you fit. So for instance, we work with universities or airports or someone like IFC in Hong Kong, like a big building, and we would do the entire building from scratch. And we have products called Metasys, which is a software that gives you an overarching view of everything that is happening in the building, including camera system, what temperatures are each rooms, what are the zones. And so you get a very macro view.
So it's like smart buildings, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. So smart buildings, and it's basically an all-in-one system. Where we do everything for the building from the start.
So you're looking at it from the user experience of how do you use the smart building? Like how do you experience it?
Okay. So that is the Johnson's Controls business. And we don't have a lot of B2C presence, which is why Hitachi came in. Hitachi has a lot of technologies around air conditioners and home conditioners and smaller business air conditioners. And so from that, this joint venture came in, and this was about 5 years ago. And so the two companies became one and formed, a hybrid where before they would be, Johnson's Controls would be doing B2B. Hitachi was only doing B2C. Now both companies is doing B2B and B2C. So Johnson's Controls Hitachi facilitate small, medium scales B2B and B2C market.
Okay, I see.